Hi everyone and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 5 preschool activities that are great for encouraging letter recognition and help them learn their ABCs. Let's get into it. For the first activity you're going to need a chunk of Play-Doh and a piece of paper in which you've written in a big letter, a big font, the letter that you want their child to learn that day. So we've gone for an S because my son's name is Samuel and he loves to look for the S's that represent his name. So we've drawn a big S, and then all you need to do is get the Play-Doh, show your child how to make a snake with a Play-Doh if they don't know how to do that, and to kind of fold it around into the shape of whatever letter you're choosing. It's probably a good idea to provide them with a knife as well so they can cut it up into little pieces depending on what the shape looks like. If it's an F or a T, you might need to cut it in half or even into 3, and it's a really fun, like, sensory hands-on experience way of learning letters rather than just looking at a letter and memorizing it. This is a much more fun way of getting involved and getting hands-on learning. The next activity is using sandpaper letters. This is a typically Montessori activity and it can be quite expensive to purchase sandpaper letters, but you can simply just make your own. So you want to get a bit of card or a bit of paper and cut it up into small squares. Then use a Sharpie to write the desired letter on the bit of card, and just get some glitter glue and go over the top with glitter glue. Then you need to let it dry for quite a bit of time, or just put it on a radiator and it'll dry really fast. And there's your sandpaper letter done. Really simple and doesn't cost you very much. And the idea behind this activity is that your child can then feel the letter rather than just looking at a flat letter on a page. They can physically get in there and put their finger over the shape of the S or the T and feel what it feels like. And this is another really sensory nice experience for them, especially if you've got a younger toddler. This is a really great way to help them feel the letter rather than just looking at the letter. Next up, you need some sand or some flour, which is what I use because I don't have any sand, but sand is ideal. And you're going to put a thin layer across a tray just to kind of contain the mess, and then all you're going to do is you're going to write letters using your flour. So you can get a bit of paper and get them to copy a letter from the bit of paper. You can use your sandpaper letters, get them to copy the shape that you've written out on your sandpaper letter sheet, or they can just practice writing letters to their heart's content in flour. And what's really nice about this one is that even if they make a mistake and they're a bit upset by that, you can just erase it completely and start again. My son, even though I don't say he's done anything wrong, if he tries to do an S, it doesn't look like an S, he gets a bit sad about that. But if it's in flour, you can just quickly scrub it out and try again. And so it gives you an unlimited amount of chances. The next activity is for those craft lovers out there. So you want to get a big bit of paper and you want to draw your letter onto the card or the paper using bubble writing so that there's space inside the letter. And what you're going to do is you're going to get scraps of paper, whatever shape you want. You could use stickers, you could use sequins even. And you're just going to get some glue and you're going to glue the bits of paper onto the S to kind of fill out the entire S. And again, this is just unconsciously helping them to learn what a shape looks like. And as you're doing this activity next to them, you can kind of say, oh look, this is the next part of the S shape, or the next part of the T shape, oh look, this is the top of the T. And so naturally while you're doing an activity, you're using the name for the letter. And so that's really helpful, I think, and helps them to really cement it in their brains. Next up, what I have is a lineup of letters. So this is very simple again. You just get a bit of paper and you pick a letter that you want them to practice, for example S, and then you put a bunch of different letters around it. So it's kind of like kind of to go around and circle which one is the right one. So if I used S, I'd probably put some Z's and 5's in there because those are easy to mix them up. And then you want to just get either circle or trace or just point to the S shapes, S letters. And so this helps them to really solidify in their minds that there's more letters and only certain ones are called S. And they might look similar to Z's or they might look similar to 5's, but those are completely different things. And you can have a little discussion around why 5 is not an S and why a Z is not an S and such. And you can do this with loads of different letters, obviously, with all the letters that you want. You can make it more difficult, more simple. If you use less letters, it's much more simple. If you can use loads and loads of letters if your child is really good and get them to sit and circle it. This is probably a really enjoyable one for a child if they're really into those seek and find books, you know, where you have to look for the little characters. Your child will probably really enjoy this if they're into those kind of books. Those are the activities that I'm going to be sharing with you today. If you click on the video here, then you can go and see my previous video where I talk about preschool activities for pre-writing, so pre-writing skills to strengthen hands. I'll see you there.